بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. So in our last lesson, we left off on number one. Nahw is a science that teaches you how to connect words with the correct ending. And Sarf is a science that teaches you the patterns and the form, the correct form. Another word for this is tense and conjugation. But form is more broad. So the correct form of words. And we explained that if you have a machine in which you throw a bunch of gears into it, it's not going to work until you connect every gear to the next, and each gear is in the correct place, and the correct gear is used. Now, in this lesson, bi'idhnillah, number one, we'll go over a few examples of incorrect sentences in the English language and explain whether it is a nahu mistake or a surf mistake. So example number one was, why did you doing this? Why did you doing this? So those participants who are watching recordings, just pause the video and think, why did you doing this? Is this a surf mistake? Is it a nahu mistake? Answer, this is a surf mistake. Why is it a soft mistake? The reason this is a soft mistake is because the placement of doing is correct. Why did you doing this? That is where you would normally place do. So the placement of the word is correct. In English, the placement is important. In Arabic, not so much. We'll explain this bi'idhnillah. In English, the placement of the word is extremely important because what gives the meaning in English is the placement and the order of the word. Therefore, in English, this is incorrect. Why did you doing this? Not because the word is in the wrong area, and that is a grammatical error such that we would say this is a nahwu mistake. Rather, you brought the wrong tense. The form of the word was wrong. Instead of saying do, you said doing. Hence the mistake, because this is in past tense. And in past tense, in English, you do not say, why did you doing this? You say, why did you do this? Doing is for present tense. All right. So that over there is an example of a sarf mistake. Let's take a look at an example of a nahu mistake. I wanted to football play. I wanted to football play. And notice over here, each word, the form of the words is correct. I wanted, past tense, that's the correct form. To, correct. Football, that is correct. Play, that's the past tense verb. So in terms of form, each and every single word is correct. Where does the issue arise? The issue is in placement. And we said in English, this is a big problem because in English, placement is what gives the meaning. So what you should have said was, I wanted to play football. Notice playing is an action. You should have brought that before football, which is the object, i.e., what is being played. The answer to what is being played is football. That should have been brought later. But you ended up bringing that first, and hence you made a mistake in placement, which is a grammatical error. And hence this is a mistake in Nahwu. I want you to football play. Each word, the form is correct. The placement of the words, or the two words football and play, was incorrect, hence the mistake. You should have said, I want you to play football. Now you can change this, you can make it into a soft mistake. If someone says, for instance, I wanted to played football, that's also incorrect because that over there, you're using the wrong tense. Now that is a soft mistake. The order is correct. Football is brought after played, but you do not say I wanted to played. You say I wanted to play football. Hence the soft mistake over there. All right, now let's move on with our next lesson. I'm hoping this is very clear. Bi'idhnillah, it is very clear. We'll move on with our next lesson in understanding a point which many of you may have thought about, um, and that is to say that in English, I mentioned multiple times that the placement and order is important. Whereas in Arabic, I said multiple times, what's important is not the placement per se, what's important is the ending. So let's take an example from the Quran to understand this. And that example is, وَوَرِثَ, we'll leave out the first waw, وَرِثَ سُلَيْمَانُ دَاوُودَ. And Sulaiman, alayhi salatu wasalam, inherited Dawood, alayhi salatu wasalam. Now, obviously, Sulaiman alayhi salam is the son, and Dawood alayhi salam is the father. So the son inherits the father. So Sulaiman alayhi salam inherited Dawood alayhi salatu wassalam. Who is doing the action? Sulaiman. What is the action? Number one, inheriting. The action is inheriting. So Sulaiman inherited Dawood. Now notice in English, if instead of saying Sulaiman inherited Dawood, again, this is a past tense. So assuming we translated to Sulaiman is inheriting Dawood, that would be a mistake in sarf in the English. Because the verb we have in front of us, we'll explain this later on, bi'idhnillah, is a past tense verb. So the correct translation is Sulaiman inherited Dawood, alayhi salatu wassalam, as opposed to, for instance, saying Sulaiman is inheriting or Sulaiman will inherit Dawood, alayhi salatu wassalam. But we translated it correctly. We said Sulaiman inherited Dawood, alayhi salatu wassalam, alayhi salatu wassalam. However, if in English someone was to say, instead of saying Sulaiman first, let's bring Dawood first. So instead of saying Sulaiman inherited Dawood, say Dawood inherited Sulaiman. This over here would be a mistake in grammar. Why? Because like we mentioned to you, the son inherits the father. And the sentence we have in front of us means that Sulaiman inherited Dawood. If you switch the order, if you were to switch the order in English, the meaning flips. Instead of saying Sulaiman inherited Dawood, you bring Dawood first. And you say Dawood inherited Sulaiman, the entire meaning flips. Because now Dawood is inheriting and Sulaiman is being inherited. Why? Because in English, the meaning is understood through placement and order. In Arabic, that's not the case. Now, obviously, we cannot switch this around because this is the Quran. But in terms of the Arabic sentence being correct, again, the Quran, we don't switch around. But in terms of an Arabic sentence being correct, if someone was to say, for instance, Waritha Dawuda, or we'll bring Dawood first, Dawuda Waritha Sulaymanu. Assuming someone was to say this in Arabic, not in the Quran. In the Quran would be a mistake, but just someone who's speaking in Arabic, and he ended up saying Dawuda Waritha Sulaymanu. Again, when it comes to English, we would say this is a mistake because if you bring Dawood first and you bring Sulaiman last, the doer of the verb has now switched with the one upon whom the verb is being done. Initially, Sulaiman was inheriting, Dawood is being inherited. Once you brought Dawood first and Sulaiman last, now Dawood is inheriting and Sulaiman is being inherited. Hence the error. However, in Arabic, were we to switch Dawuda Waritha Sulaymanu, Dawuda Waritha Sulaymanu, this would not be incorrect. Why would this not be incorrect? Well, now you understand based on this that order and placement is not what gives the meaning in the Arabic language. There's something else that gives the meaning in the Arabic language. Even if I was to say, for instance, let's find a new order. Waritha Dawuda Sulaymanu. Notice now I brought Dawood in the middle, whereas in the previous example, we brought Dawood first. Even now, the meaning has not changed. It still means Sulaiman inherited Dawood. The first sentence, the second sentence, and the third sentence, they all mean Sulaiman inherited Dawood, alayhim as-salatu was-salam. Okay? And I said that in Quran, you can't do this. You cannot change the Quran. But we're speaking with Arabic, the sentence itself, in and of itself. If someone was to say this in an Arabic sentence, not in the Quran, then this would be grammatically correct. If, however, I was to say, for instance, let's take the order of the first sentence. And I was to say Waritha, you can notice how in the first sentence, Waritha comes first. And then I was to say Sulaymana, Dawudu. Now the meaning flips. Now the meaning flips into Dawood inherited Sulaiman. And that's incorrect. But why did the meaning flip? And this is where I want everyone to stop and think. We said that in sentence A, whether it's Waritha Sulaymanu Dawuda, Dawuda Waritha Sulaymanu, or وَرِثَ دَاوُودَ سُلَيْمَانُ. In all three instances, the order does not make a difference. The meaning is correct. But the moment I say وَرِثَ سُلَيْمَانَ دَاوُودُ, now the meaning is incorrect. Now the meaning flips, and Dawood is doing the action, whereas Sulaiman is the one upon whom the action is being done. Dawood is inheriting, Sulaiman is being inherited. What is the difference between وَرِثَ سُلَيْمَانُ دَاوُودَ and وَرِثَ سُلَيْمَانَ دَاوُودُ? The difference over here is that the noon of Sulaiman in the previous sentence, وَرِثَ سُلَيْمَانُ دَاوُودَ, had a dhamma. Whereas the noon in the new sentence, وَرِثَ سُلَيْمَانَ دَاوُودُ, has a fatha. So initially it had a dhamma, or what some may refer to as a pesh. Now it has a fatha, what some may refer to as a zabar. In the previous sentence, Dawood had a fatha. In the new sentence, Dawudu has a dhamma. That is why I said to you that the meaning in Arabic is hidden in the endings. Because the moment you change the ending, the entire meaning of that sentence can change. When we said وَرِثَ سُلَيْمَانُ دَاوُودَ, again, when I say ending, I'm not saying the word that comes last. It's the last letter of each word that matters. وَرِثَ سُلَيْمَانُ دَاوُودَ, it still means Sulaiman inherited Dawood. Dawood, notice the ending, still has a fatha. وَرِثَ سُلَيْمَانُ, notice the ending still has a dhamma, and hence the meaning is intact. وَرِثَ دَاوُودَ, notice the ending still has a fatha. Sulaymanu, notice the ending still has a dhamma, and therefore the meaning is intact. But the moment we switch the endings around, and instead of saying وَرِثَ سُلَيْمَانُ دَاوُودَ, we kept the exact same format, but the ending is what was switched. And we said وَرِثَ سُلَيْمَانَ دَاوُودُ, now the meaning flips. The meaning flips into Dawood inherited Sulaiman. And this is why it is so important when you're reciting the Quran to be very, very cautious about the harakat. Because like I said, the meaning is hidden within the ending. And if you want to be more specific, within the last harakah of the word. Within the last harakah of the word. That fatha, that dhamma, that zabr page, that kasra, that those are extremely important. Because when you flip them around, the doer becomes the object. And the object becomes the doer. Let me show you one example where this becomes very serious. One example of this is in the verse وَقَتَلَ دَاوُودُ جَالُوتَ. قَتَلَ means to kill. Now, I don't need to translate this for you. Jalut is Goliath. Dawood is Dawood alayhi salam. And Dawood, who's the doer. Don't look at the order. Do not look at the order. Don't assume that Dawood is the doer because he came first. No. Dawood is the doer not because he came first. Dawood is the doer because of the ending. Because the ending is what gives the meaning in the Arabic language. Dawudu qatala Dawudu. Dawood killed Jaluta. Who is the object? Who is the action of killing being done upon? Upon Goliath. And Dawood killed Jalut. If someone was to mistakenly read this, وَقَتَلَ دَاوُودَ جَالُوتُ, the entire meaning would flip. And this is why it's so important to understand the last haraka in the Arabic language. And this is what Nahu will teach you. When we say Nahu, it teaches you the endings, this is exactly what we're referring to. Right? So think of it in the gears, it's the teeth of the gear. Is the teeth of the gear correct or not? If the teeth of the gear is incorrect, then the word or the sentence will give the incorrect meaning. But if the teeth of each gear is correct, then the sentence will give the correct meaning. So notice over here, in these two examples, what changed the meaning in the Arabic language was not the placement of the word, but rather it was the ending of the word. And Nahu is what teaches you the ending of the word. So you can upgrade your cheat sheet now and change it to that Nahu is the science. Nahu is the science that teaches you the ending of each word, and Sarf is the science that teaches you the form slash pattern of each word. And then you can write in Arabic, the meaning is hidden in, not the ending, in the last haraka. We're going to change this right now. The meaning is hidden in the last haraka and the pattern or form of the word. The last haraka is referring to the science of Nahu. That is what will teach you that. And the pattern slash form of the word is referring to the science of sarf. That is what will teach you that. Now that we've understood this, and I hope it's clear now why it's extremely important to recite the Quran with the correct harakat. Now let's move on to the next portion in our lesson. But before that, I'll just mention one more thing. In Arabic, we mentioned that all of these are grammatically correct. Again, in the Quran, you don't recite differently. In the Quran, you recite as it is within the Quran. But both or all three of these, there's actually multiple combinations you can make even more, are grammatically correct. That's a 2. That is a 3. Okay. Why the difference? The difference would arise when certain sentence requires the object to be brought first. And this is something beautiful about the Arabic language because you have so many different methodologies, or not methodologies per se, because you have so many different ways of structuring the exact same sentence. It makes for a beautiful language for rhetorical purposes. Sometimes you don't want to highlight the doer, you want to highlight the person who was hit. So in that scenario, you bring him first. Other times, you don't want to highlight either of the two, you want to highlight the action of hitting. So you bring the action first. At a certain time, you might want to emphasize exactly who hit. So you bring the hitter first. Notice how based on what the need of that time or the situation at hand requires, the need the situation at hand requires, you can change the order of the sentence. Whereas in English, you can't do this. In Arabic, you can do this because of the beauty of the language. And it all comes back to the fact that the meaning is hidden within the ending, i.e., the last haraka. And Nahwu will teach you how to correctly um, approach the last haraka. Now that we've understood this, let's move ahead with a map of the Arabic language. Why are we going over a map of the Arabic language? The reason we're going over a map of the Arabic language is because all of our upcoming lessons will come back to this one map. So if you understand this one map well, you've understood the entire language. And if you don't understand this map well, then let's hope you try to understand it well. Now, the map begins with al-qawl. What is al-qawl? Al-qawl is an expression. Expression can be a sentence, it can be a single word, it can be a phrase. But what matters over here is, it's something which the Arabs use. Statement, whether it's a single word, whether it's a phrase, whether it's a full sentence, whether it's paragraphs, it is something which the Arabs use. Okay? Al-qawl is al-lafdhu al-musta'mal, right? Lafidha would mean to throw. And the word you throw out of your mouth is a statement. That's what the Quran says, مَا يَلْفَظُ مِنْ قَوْلٍ إِلَّا لَدَيْهِ رَقِيبٌ عَتِيدٌ. The human being does not utter any statement. Notice min qawlin, any statement except that there is one who is governing and writing down, paying attention to the word that's being said and they're being written. As mentioned in the other verse, كِرَامًا كَاتِبِينَ يَعْلَمُونَ مَا تَفْعَلُونَ. That these angels are placed and they're writing and they know what the actions the person is doing and they're writing these actions. And on the day of judgment, these actions will be shown to each and every single person. ووضع الكتاب فترى المجرمين مشفقين مما فيه. That on the day of judgment, the books will be placed with all the actions of the human being. وترى المجرمين, and you will see the criminals مشفقين مما فيه, scared of what's within them. ويقولون يا ويلتنا, that maybe we destroyed ما لهذا الكتاب. What is it with this book? لا يغادر صغيرة ولا كبيرة إلا أحصاها. It did not leave behind any small, any minute action, nor any big action, except that إلا أحصاها, it mentioned it. ووجدوا ما عملوا حاضرا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says these people will find whatever actions they did present in front of them in these books. Hadira means present. وَجَدُوا مَا عَمِلُوا حَاضِرًا. They will find these actions they did present, i.e., in their books in front of them. وَلَا يَظْلِمُ رَبُّكَ أَحَدًا. And your Lord does not oppress anyone. Everyone will be given what they have earned based on their actions that are being recorded by their angels. Tamam. So now, qawl is a statement. Any statement, whether any expression, whether it's a single word, whether it's multiple words. Qawl, which is used by the Arabs, they use these words. It will either be mufrad. Mufrad means it's a single word, or it will be murakkab. Murakkab means it's multiple words. Now in English, single words. A single word can be a noun, it can be an adjective, it can be an adverb, etc., etc. In Arabic, a single word will be of 3 types. So in English, you have a lot of different categories. You have noun, adjective, adverb, verb, preposition, etc., etc. In Arabic, we only have 3 categories. A single word can only be one of 3 types. What are these three types? Either that single word is an ism, okay, or it's a fi'l, or it is a harf. What is an ism? An ism in the Arabic language, now commonly they translate ism as noun, but we don't want to worry about translations. Understand the word in the language itself. An ism in the Arabic language indicates a meaning within itself. It indicates a meaning within itself without being attached to a tense. Okay, without being attached to a time, i.e., without being attached to a tense. So, for example, when you hear someone say tree, in Arabic that would be shajara. Shajara, which is a tree. When you hear someone say tree, you don't think of present tense or past tense or future tense. You just picture a tree, irrespective of whatever time it's existing in. All that comes to mind is the tree in and of itself. When you hear someone say, for instance, jidar, jidar means a wall. Jidar, jim dal alif ra, jidar means a wall. When you hear someone say jidar, you don't picture present tense, future tense, or past tense. All that comes to mind is a wall. So that is an ism. Why? Because it indicates the meaning within itself, meaning it itself has a meaning. Jidar has a meaning. The meaning is within the essence of the word. And it's not attached to a tense. That's all there is to ism. Now let's look at a fi'l. A fi'l indicates a meaning within itself. So it indicates a meaning of its own, but it's also attached to a tense. Ism is not attached to a tense. A fi'l is attached to a tense. The example of this would be, for instance, let's take the same verbs we used last lesson. We'll take, for instance, mm, يضرب. يضرب means hitting. Okay, it's actually more than this. Slash will hit. You'll notice over here that in Arabic, the present and future tense are the same. We'll explain this later on, bi'idhnillah. يضرب would mean hitting, slash will hit. Now, as soon as you hear hitting, you thought of two things. Number one, there is hitting taking place. And number two, it's in a time. It's in the present tense. Or will hit will be in the future tense. So يضرب means hitting, or it can mean will hit. But you think of hitting, that's a meaning within itself, and that meaning is attached to a tense. Hitting needs to occur within the present tense. Will hit will occur within the future tense. Notice how the meaning that comes to your mind is automatically attached. It indicates a tense. يضرب indicates the present or future tense. Hitting indicates the present tense. Will hit indicates the future tense. In Arabic, yadribu can refer to either hitting or will hit. The point is, it indicates a meaning within itself, and it's also attached to a tense. Okay, a harf is that word, which indicates a meaning within another word. So when it came to ism and fi'l, they both indicated a meaning within themselves. However, the ism is not attached to a tense. The fi'l, which is an action essentially, if you want an easy way to understand fi'l, it's an action. It's a verb. Okay, or an action word. Okay. It's attached to a tense because all actions take place within tenses. And because the word that's been used to indicate this will indicate two things: the action itself, as well as the tense in which it's taking place. Hitting indicates the action of hitting, and it also indicates it's occurring within the present tense. Will hit indicates the action of hitting, and it also indicates that it's occurring within the future tense. Harf, on the other hand, indicates a meaning not within itself, but a meaning within another word. Now, what does that mean? In Arabic, we have, for instance, min. Min means from. Ila. Ila means to. This word from will necessarily indicate a meaning within another word. Why? Because whenever you say from, there needs to be a point A and a point B. You're going from A to B. So notice how min, the meaning of from, is occurring within point A. without point A from is irrelevant because it only indicates a meaning within something else. Ila means to, but ila as well, which means towards, to, it indicates a meaning within the endpoint. So I traveled from Canada to Iraq, for instance. Iraq is the endpoint of my travel. To alone is not sufficient in conveying that meaning. It needs to be coupled with the endpoint in order for you to understand its meaning. Likewise with from, it needs to be coupled with the beginning point in order for you to understand its meaning. Let's take an example from the Quran. Subhanalladhi asra bi'abdihi, the first verse of Surah Bani Israel or Surah Isra, two names of the surah. Subhanalladhi asra bi'abdihi laylam min al-masjid al-harami ila al-masjid al-aqsa. Naam. Pure and free of fault is that being. Subhana means to be free of faults. Alladhi who asra bi'abdihi, who took his slave, his servant, i.e. Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, on the night journey. Asra means to take someone by night. Asra bi'abdihi, he took his slave on the night journey, his servant on the night journey. Laylan, one night, within a night. Minal masjid al-haram, from al-masjid al-haram, referring to the Kaaba. Ilal masjid al-aqsa, to al-masjid al-aqsa, referring to Bayt al-Muqaddas. He took his slave on a night journey in a night from, or in a portion of a night from Al-Masjid al-Haram, the sacred mosque, i.e. the Kaaba, to Al-Masjid al-Aqsa. Now notice from over here is giving you the meaning within the beginning point, i.e. Al-Masjid al-Haram. And ila over here is giving you the meaning not within itself, but within the end point. And that's why if there was no beginning point or end point, the meaning would be incorrect and you wouldn't understand anything. So the difference between harf, ism, and fi'l is that ism and fi'l both indicate a meaning within themselves. Harf indicates a meaning within something else altogether. The meaning of the harf is found within a different word. So the beginning point and end point from and ila is occurring in a different word. Whereas the ism's meaning is occurring within the word itself. It's just that the ism is not attached to a tense, whereas a fi'l is attached to a tense. This is a brief breakdown of single words within the Arabic language. Now, in upcoming lessons, bi'idhnillah, we will explain to you exactly what an ism is. We will explain to you exactly what a fi'l is. We will explain to you exactly what a harf is. And then after that, we move on to murakkab. So we had qawl as an expression. That expression can be a single word or it can be multiple words. If it's mufrad, if it is a single word, then it's either an ism, fi'l, or harf. It's either an ism, fi'l, or harf. But if it's murakkab, if it is multiple words, then we have further breakdowns. And those further breakdowns are that the murakkab, the multiple words, will either be a phrase or a sentence. What is a phrase? A phrase does not give complete benefit, whereas a sentence gives complete benefit. Now, what does that mean? Let's explain this. Murakkab, number one, there's multiple words. So if I ask you, give me something that doesn't give complete benefit, and you say Muhammad, it doesn't give complete benefit. You are correct. Muhammad is a mufrad. It's a single word. I want multiple words. I want multiple words and put together. But despite being put together, those multiple words do not give a complete benefit. So let's assume, for instance, you have Muhammad's book. Muhammad's book. How many words do you have? One. Apostrophe S is there. And two. Okay, you have multiple words. Now, these multiple words you have, it's a murakkab. It's multiple words. It's not mufrad. It's not single. It's multiple words. But does this give you a complete benefit? Yeah, you understood you were talking about a book that belongs to Muhammad. However, if I went to someone and I said Muhammad's book, okay, what about Muhammad's book? Is it lost? Is it stolen? Is it filled with knowledge? You haven't given me any information regarding Muhammad's book. So this structure, Muhammad's book, it gives you a degree of benefit because you learned that, okay, Muhammad owns a book, but what happened to Muhammad's book? What is the quality of Muhammad's book? Is Muhammad's book in front of you? Is it lost? Is it found? Is it stolen? You have not yet given any information. Therefore, this is a phrase because you haven't given complete benefit. Muhammad's book is there, but what about Muhammad's book? Is it lost? Is it stolen? Etc. etc. Complete benefit is not yet found. Let's take another example. Tall man or a tall man. A tall man. What about a tall man? Is the tall man sitting? Is the tall man standing? Is the tall man running? Is the tall man falling? You have yet to give any information. And therefore, a tall man alone is simply a phrase. It's not a complete sentence because you have not yet given information regarding that tall man. Let's assume you only gave information. For instance, someone came along and said, in a room. In a room. Okay. Who is in a room? Is Zaid in a room? Is Muhammad in a room? Is Farhan in a room? Is Hamza in a room? Is Amir in a room? Who exactly is in a room? You've yet to give that subject or predicate of that sentence. So, in both scenarios, you have a phrase. Or in all scenarios over here, you have a phrase. But either the information regarding that phrase is missing, or the information is present, but the subject, who are you speaking about? Who are you giving that information about? That has not been conveyed. All of these, on account of not giving complete benefit, would be a phrase. Okay, so we have this in the Arabic language as well, where you have, for instance, we'll use the exact same words, Kitabu Muhammadin. That means Muhammad's book. What about Kitabu Muhammadin? Is it open? Is it lost? Is it stolen? Etc. etc. A tall man. A tall man. Rajulun tawilun. Rajulun tawilun. What about the tall man? In a room. Fil ghurfa. Well, who is in the room? Is it Muhammad? Is it Zaid? In all these scenarios, even though you have multiple words, you have yet to give complete benefit. Now, obviously, the phrases and sentences are all going to be built or made up of an ism fi'l or harf. You're going to be using an ism fi'l or harf to make up these phrases and sentences. And once you combine the ism fi'l or harf, have you combined it in a manner where it's yet to give complete benefit, or have you combined it in a manner where it is giving complete benefit? Let's look at an example of a few sentences. If I say, for instance, Muhammad's book is lost. So we have Muhammad's book. That is my subject. What about Muhammad's book? So we gave information is lost. Muhammad's book is lost. And we'll put a period there. So notice over here, this is a full sentence. Why is it a full sentence? Because it's murakkab, multiple words, and it gives complete benefit. I'm not just saying Muhammad's book, I'm giving you information regarding Muhammad's book, and that's why you can put a period at the end. If you said Muhammad's book and you put a period, that would be incorrect. Muhammad's book is lost. Now, because the sentence is complete, you're allowed to put a period at the end. A tall man is running. Same concept. A tall man alone is a phrase. Is running alone is a phrase. But once you add on a tall man to the beginning, now you have a complete sentence. A tall man is running. Now you have a complete sentence. Zaid is in a room. If you simply said in a room, or if you simply said Zaid, you have yet to give a complete benefit. But the moment you add the two together and you say Zaid is in a room, now you have a complete sentence. All right. Now let's go over a little exercise. So we said Zaid is in a room, and a tall man is we said he is running. Correct. So keep those in mind. In this lesson, we've understood that qawl is an expression. It can either be mufrad, a single word, or murakkab, multiple words. If it's a single word, it's an ism, fi'l, or harf. What is an ism? It indicates a meaning within itself without being attached to a tense. A fi'l indicates a meaning within itself whilst being attached to a tense. A harf indicates a meaning within another word altogether. So from indicates a meaning within another word. On the other hand, we had the murakkab, the phrase, which doesn't give complete benefit, like Muhammad's book, or a tall man, or in a room. You're still waiting for information or a subject. And we had the sentence which gives complete benefit, Muhammad's book is lost. And we'll bring another example over here. Zaid hit Khalid. That's a full sentence. Zaid hit Khalid is a full sentence because you've given complete benefit. All right. Now let's understand. Using these English examples we have in front of us, we're not going to use Arabic examples yet because I want you to understand this in in English first, and then bi'idhnillah later on, we'll cover this in English in Arabic as well. Let's take a look at these words in the phrase and sentence section, and just determine whether these words are ism, fi'l, or harf. So first, let's take a look at Muhammad's book. We'll leave the apostrophe s. We'll leave the apostrophe s for now. Is Muhammad, and I want you to think about this. Pause the video if you have to. An ism, fi'l, or harf. How do you determine this? Apply the definition. Does Muhammad indicate a meaning within itself? Yes, it does. Is Muhammad attached to a tense? No, it's not. Therefore, what type of word is this? Well, this word is an ism. Because an ism is a word that indicates a meaning in itself without being attached to a tense. So Muhammad is an ism on account of the fact that it indicates a meaning within itself without being attached to an ism, a tense, afwan. This is an ism. Book. Does the word book indicate a meaning within itself? The answer is yes. The word book indicates a meaning within itself. Is the word book attached to a tense? Well, when you think of book in Arabic, that is kitab, do you think of present, future, or does the word book tell you, okay, book not in the meaning of to book something, book in the meaning of in a bunch of pages put together? Okay, does that indicate a tense? The answer is no, because book, you think of a book free of any tense. You think of a book, a number of pages put together, free of any tense. And therefore, Muhammad's book, that over there would be an ism. Even book as well would be an ism. Okay. Now let's look ahead at a tall man. In fact, we'll keep the color for ism in green so as to avoid any problems. Sorry, just 1 minute, please. All right. Muhammad's book. Muhammad is an ism, and book is also an ism. Okay. A tall man. Let's take a look at A. A indicates um, ambiguity, or it indicates something being unknown, something being general. Like it's not the person, it's any random person. That indicates ambiguity. But ambiguity isn't something which can be indicated in itself. It needs to be indicated within another word. So, what is ambiguous? Is it the A? No, it's that tall man. It can be any random tall man. It doesn't have to be a specific tall man. It can be any random tall man. So, A is indicating, you could say generality, you can say ambiguity in another word. Right? We'll say it's indicating generality in another word. So because it's indicating a meaning within another word, we understand right away that A over here is a harf. A is a harf. Tall. Does tall indicate a meaning within itself? Yes, it does. It indicates that this um, item or person is lengthy. That indicates that tall has a meaning within itself. You understand. Whenever you hear tall, you understand the meaning. Now, beyond that, is it attached to a tense? The answer is no, it's not attached to a tense because you don't think of tall in the present, or the tall does not give the meaning of the present, future, or past tense. And hence, tall is an ism. Man. Does man indicate a meaning within itself or within something else? It indicates a meaning within itself. Whenever you hear man, you think of a human being. Is it attached to a tense? No. Man does not indicate present, past, or future tense. And therefore, man is also an ism. All right. In a room. In a room. Let's assume it's Zaid in a room, right? But let's just take apart in a room. Does in indicate a meaning within itself? In. No, it doesn't. Because something has to be within something else. In indicates containment. But for containment to work, A has to be within B. Otherwise, containment cannot work. Therefore, in does not indicate a meaning within itself. In indicates a meaning within something else. All right? It's the room that's containing whatever is going to be brought first. In this case, Zaid. So because in indicates a meaning within something else, we would say in is not a fi'l, it's not a harf, it's not an ism. In is a harf. Because the meaning of in is found within something else. A, once again, we covered this already in a tall man, is also a harf. Now notice over here, the in is entering upon both of them. Meaning it's entering upon a room. Perhaps when we cover this in Arabic, it will be more clear. All right, room Does room indicate a meaning within itself? Yes, it does. Is it attached to a tense? No, it is not. Therefore, room is an ism. All right. Muhammad's book is lost. Muhammad's book is lost. Again, so we're going to leave the apostrophe s, and over here we'll also leave is. We'll leave the word is. Muhammad is an ism. Book is an ism. Lost. Does lost indicate a meaning itself in and of itself? Yes. Over here, whether lost is a verb or an ism, in Arabic, if we were to write this in Arabic, we would say lost is an ism. Lost over here is an ism because lost over here does not mean it was lost in the past. It doesn't mean it's currently lost. It just means it's lost irrespective of a time. Because you're talking in the present, it might occur in the present tense. But that's a meaning understood from beyond the word itself. If that's complicated, very simple, ignore the example. Okay? Don't worry about that. Zaid hit Khalid. Zaid, is that an ism or a fi'l or a harf? Zaid is not a harf because it doesn't indicate a meaning within something else. It's not a fi'l. It's not a fi'l because it indicates a meaning within itself. However, Zaid does not have any time. It doesn't give you the meaning of present, past, or future tense. Therefore, Zaid is an ism because it gives a meaning within itself without being attached to a time. Hit gives you a meaning within itself, i.e., beating, hitting, etc. And along with that, hit tells you this is not occurring right now. It's not going to occur in the future. It occurred within the past. So this over here is our example of a fi'l. Why? Because hit gives a meaning within itself, and it also the word itself indicates that it's already occurred within the past tense. All right. The meaning which is within itself is attached to a tense, as opposed to Zaid and Khalid, that are isms. Okay. So this is an overview of this lesson. Takeaway is that just understand the chart in general. Understand the chart in general. Understand number one, why is the meaning hidden within the last letter in the Arabic language, or the last haraka to be exact. And number two, understand the chart. And bi'idhnillah, we're going to take this chart apart. So in the next lesson, we're going to go into more detail with regards to the ism. We'll explain the ism in detail. Then we'll explain the fi'l in detail. Then we'll explain the harf in detail. Then we'll explain a few phrases for you in detail. All of this with examples from the Quran, bi'idhnillah. And then we'll explain a few sentences in detail with examples from the Quran. And this is what I mean when I say that by the end of these 10 to 15 lessons, bi'idhnillah, you will have an overview of the Arabic language. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.